Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. We've got the Italian Grand Prix today qualifying starting in 13 minutes time. And yeah, a lot to look forward to. We've got in fact 9 grid penalties this weekend. Because of course you're at Monza, overtaking is a lot more straightforward than other circuits. So teams have decided to go for the grid penalties around here, which makes sense. But 9 grid penalties is absolute, well, that's pretty much half the grid that has got some sort of grid penalties. So I will run you through them just before qualifying starts, and of course after those drivers do qualify. All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We've got 100 people watching already. Very much do appreciate all the support. Yeah. So let's talk about what's going on at Monza today. So it is air temperature is 26 degrees, track temperature is 41 degrees. So that's pretty standard for Monza. It's never really any hotter or any colder. Just the standard Saturday qualifying that we've got here. And well, of course, we've got, well, the main thing is we've got Alex Albon, who has got appendicitis, and he is getting his appendix removed in a surgery. Well, right now, I'm pretty sure, as we speak, or in probably a couple of days. But because he's getting surgery taking place now, he cannot be driving in a car. So, replacing Alex Albon at Williams is Nick de Vries. He is the Formula E world champion, I think, or has at least won a Formula E championship. Definitely done a great job in F2 and F3. He was, I think, George Russell's teammate in F2 as well. And he was no slouch. All of his pace was very good. And we will see what happens to him. It is his first ever Formula One qualifying debut. He's done practice sessions. In fact, he did a practice session with Aston Martin just at Monza this weekend. But then now he switched teams from Aston Martin to Williams to drive for them as he is the reserve driver. Yeah. Well, thing is, an appendectomy probably only takes 30 to 45 minutes, but the issue is you've got to recover from all of that. And they probably didn't have a doctor that could do it. And I also don't think that he'd be cleared to be driving an F1 car after getting like an organ removed. So, especially on the same day. But on the plus side, it is weight reduction. Alex Albon will be lighter because of the appendix that has been removed from him. So, yeah, it's going to be faster at Singapore. Hello, Kiez. Nice to see that you're back. We got just 10 minutes now till qualifying begins. And yeah, right. Who do you think is going to be on the podium? Well, I can say, well, I'd like to see the Ferraris on the podium. Of course, it is their home weekend here in Monza. The Tifosi have got, it's actually been 100 years of the Monza circuit since it was built. 100 years ago was when the building of the I think it's Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. That's what its official name is called. But it was 100 years ago when it was built, and now, yeah, this is the 100th year. So it's been a century that the circuit has been around, and it's been 75 years for Ferrari. So they have a special livery for it's got, instead of black highlights, it's got yellow highlights, and all of the pit crew, they have all got yellow like fire suits and stuff. So yeah, looking good for Ferrari. Their performance, in fact, was very close to the Red Bulls in qualifying. They're only half a tenth off according to the simulations. Now, if you look to FP3, they were about 4 tenths off, so we will just have to wait and see. The top speed of the Red Bulls does look very good. But yeah, I guess we won't find out till the drivers go out to set a qualifying lap. And yeah. What else is there to talk about? So we've got Yeah, so the drivers at the front of the field, we've got Leclerc's the only driver that doesn't have a grid penalty. That we've got Verstappen, Perez, and Sainz all with grid penalties. In fact, I'll just run you through all of the grid penalties right now. So we've got Max Verstappen with a 5-place grid penalty, Sergio Perez with a 10-place grid penalty, Mick Schumacher with a 15-place grid penalty, Esteban Ocon with a 5-place grid penalty, Valtteri Bottas with a 15-place grid penalty, Kevin Magnussen with another 15-place penalty, and then we've got Tsunoda, Lewis Hamilton, and Carlos Sainz. All of them will be starting from the back of the grid because they've just put all of their penalties together in one race. So they've got fresh engines, fresh gearbox, fresh batteries, and ERS deployment systems and everything. So yeah, it would be like a 50-place grid penalty, but of course you can't do that. So they are starting at the back of the grid. So yeah, I'll let you know where the drivers will finish. Well, where they'll start in qualifying. Where they'll start in the race tomorrow after they finish their qualifying lap today. But yeah, with so many grid penalties, it should be a rather simple pole position there for Charles Leclerc. I mean, even if he comes fourth and he's got Verstappen, Perez, and Sainz ahead of him, he still gets pole position because everyone else has got penalties to their name. So at least a pole position for Ferrari, as long as they somehow don't mess that up. I mean, I shouldn't speak too far. Hopefully, don't commentators curse it, because Ferrari really do need a win, and especially Mattia Binotto, because the head of Ferrari came out with a statement being like, we'll need to look into other options of a team principal because there have just been too many mistakes going on at the Ferrari team. So yeah, it's a bit of a warning shot there to Mattia Binotto, being like, you need to pick up the game. Hopefully, if they do get a win at Monza and then they carry on a strong performance to the end of the season, we could definitely see Mattia Binotto stay, and hopefully Ferrari's performance increase. And yeah, 109 points between Leclerc and Verstappen. Yeah, it is a very significant margin indeed. I will just double check that. Let's have a look at the standings. Yep, 109 points. Max Verstappen is on 310 points. Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez are tied on 201 points. And yeah, very, very big gap there. Anyone know the length of the Monza track? I think it is 3.6 miles long. So yeah, 3.6 miles. So it's pretty much the average length of an F1 track. I think we have 40 something laps of racing around here tomorrow. Let's just check the Italian Grand Prix laps. It's 53 laps. So yeah, it's so 5.8 kilometers and 53 laps is the stats of the Italian Grand Prix. All right. Go Ferrari. Leclerc may have the best opportunity for front row. Could make an opportunity for Mercedes to knock out a win. Yeah, the grid penalty should definitely make an interesting race. Yes, that is very true. Especially when you've got Lewis Hamilton starting from the back. We know how good he is coming from the back of the field, making his way through with clean overtakes. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Carlos Sainz also starting at the back of the grid. And also another thing we're gonna have to consider is these setups that the drivers have got now in qualifying. They're fixed to the race as well. So if we're seeing some top speeds deficits or some top speed increase in some cars, then that's going to carry over to the race and either make overtaking really easy or defending against other drivers a pretty straightforward task. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see. The Red Bulls were around about 4 kilometers an hour quicker down the straights compared to the Ferraris in practice, but of course the engine modes and everything else is completely different. Now we are in the full race. Well, now we're in qualifying, so there we go. Also, another thing to point out is that there have been so many lockups throughout the entirety of all of the practice sessions. I mean, it's absolutely crazy to see the amount of lockups that we've had. Just into turn number 1 mainly. Of course, because the drivers come out of the Parabolica, they've got a massive, probably at least 1 kilometer long straight. where they're just going flat out. I mean, the entirety of the Monza circuit is 83% flat out. So, um, yeah, the amount of wear that goes through your engines is very high, but then the amount of times your tires are just sat there cooling down on the circuit is also pretty high. So by the time the drivers get to turn number one, their brakes are cooled down too much, and then the same thing can be said for their tires. And when they hit those brakes, the inside fronts definitely do lock in. Oh well, do definitely do lock up. Um, and yeah, do you think Leclerc could make a stupid mistake under pressure in front of all of the Ferrari fans? Well, um, thing with Charles Leclerc is that most of the time he deals with pressure in a really good way. Like, so most of the times it doesn't look like he feels any pressure, but the thing is that when he does mess up, he messes up in like a big way. So if you guys remember back to Baku in quali, just straight into the wall. Monza at quali hit the wall on the inside, then went straight into the wall on the next, like just bounced off the wall and went straight into another one. Um, so, and then actually last year in Monza as well. Oh no, not last year. I think 2020. He went straight into the barriers because he was trying to push so hard. If you remember, like 2020, that was the year the Ferrari car was absolutely horrific. Like they were, I think the sixth fastest constructor or something because they had just got their engine issue. Well, the engine benefits that they had. Completely disappeared because of the new rules that the FIA implemented. Um, and then they went from like second fastest to sixth fastest, and Leclerc was pushing so hard to try and get podium, and then ended up losing the car on the exit of Parabolica. How long is the kilometer? The track? It is 5.8 kilometers long. So, um, yeah, 5.8 kilometers. It's 53 laps of racing tomorrow. And yeah, so the chances of a mistake for Charles Leclerc, I think, I mean, the way that I see it is either Charles Leclerc sets an absolutely mega lap in qualifying, or he's going to mess up and go into a wall. Luckily, around Monza, there is a lot of gravel and a lot of time to slow down, and there's runoff as well. So maybe even if he does make a catastrophic mistake like locking both tires into turn number one or something, um, the car won't be damaged. Only his confidence will be. And yeah, the giveaway doesn't work in Finland, right? I will get that um, sorted out for tomorrow's race. So if you guys do come back for tomorrow's race, then I will. By that time, it'll be all fixed. Um, Also, the other thing is that yes, the giveaway is for Formula Neon. They make F1 LED tracks, and yeah, it's just a very nice piece of wall art. You can choose from like 200 different thousand colors, um, and yeah, I mean, if you've got like a nice sim racing rig, you can put it in front of that, or yeah, just a nice decoration for your room. So yeah, go ahead and check out the giveaway. It will be free delivery to whichever country you're in, and if it doesn't work, then just let me know in the chat and I'll get it sorted out for tomorrow. Um, Good afternoon, Michael and Simon and Daniel and Liam. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We've got nearly 700 people watching. Qualifying is about to get underway. If you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. And yeah, the green flag is about to fall for the beginning of the Q1 session. All right, here we go then. So all right, Q1 has begun. The green flag is out, and oh, I think I'm gonna have to. Where's the timer gone? Ooh. Stroll is out on track. I don't know why the timer is in here. I'm just gonna refresh the website, guys. So it's gonna go blank for a second. Right there we go. There's the timer. Just gotta adjust that for a sec. Oh, okay. Right, I see how it is. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me just fix this. Okay. probably could just do... Yeah, that's fine. And then I'll just move this down a bit. There we go. Okay. So that is qualifying. So qualifying is underway. We've got Stroll, Tsunoda, Magnussen, and Schumacher out on track. Stroll's first one out, so we'll see what his lap times are like. Aston Martin not doing well. They were experimenting in FP3 with not high downforce wings, but the normal wing, and then the low downforce wing. So yeah, pretty odd things, because usually at Monza, it's very much just you pick the lowest downforce wing you can, and then go out on track. So don't know exactly why that's going on there. It is yeah. Oh, that's actually also, it's not 6 minutes left, it's 16 minutes left. There we go. Right. So we've got 1,000 people watching. Thank you everyone for this. Well, for tuning in. That's very awesome of you guys. So let's see what Lance Stroll's times are looking like. The first sector, 27.8. By the looks of it, I don't think he is going for a fast lap. I'm not sure. I don't actually know the exact sector times that the drivers usually get. But we've got him going through the speed traps at 331 kilometers an hour. That's pretty average, to be honest, between all of the different teams. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what he can do through the rest of the lap. 28.3. And yeah. Hello, Noah. Yeah. And Ronnie, good morning from Mexico. Yeah, go Checo. Checo has got, I think, a 10-place grid penalty. Yeah, 10-place grid penalty. But yeah, we'll wait and see what they do. Okay, so Stroll sets a 1 minute 24.0. Nice job there from Lance Stroll. We'll see what Vettel can do, but Tsunoda immediately goes 4/10 faster than him down the first sector. Then let's see what Mick Schumacher's time is. Mick Schumacher goes 2/10 slower than his teammate, in fact. So yeah, Kevin Magnussen having the slight edge over Mick Schumacher, at least in this early stages of qualifying today. Right. A rookie question: how many laps are you supposed to do in qualifying? Well, usually in Q1, depending on how fast your car is, if you've got a fast car, you'll only set one lap. But mostly they do two laps, two flying laps in each qualifying session. And yeah. What is his engine change? Let's have a look. So Sergio Perez is taking his 4th internal combustion engine, and that's why he has got a 10-place grid penalty. So yeah, that's what's happening there. All right, Tsunoda into the 1 minute 22s. What a lap there from Yuki Tsunoda. Yeah, top speed's looking very, very quick for the AlphaTauri, and in fact, both Honda engines, both Honda powered teams are looking rather strong here in Italy. So maybe they're something that suits them about the circuit. But nevertheless, it's a pretty strong performance from the Red Bull / Honda powertrain. And yeah, not so related, but the last DTM race was intense. Well, DTM very much is, it's a lot closer than Formula 1, and the racing is a lot more exciting, but of course it's not as fast. And also, actually, talking of DTM, the Porsche deal that it was going to be Porsche / Red Bull racing, that deal fell through. So we'll have to wait and see what Porsche do. Do they go and decide to partner up with another team, or what? Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. Right, let's see. Let's zoom in a bit. Ooh. All right. Let's see now. Verstappen and Perez now just coming out on their coming out onto the track. Look at this. Okay, so the first sector that Verstappen set wasn't particularly fast. That might have been because he got held up slightly by traffic. But yeah, here he goes now. 11 minutes left of Q1. And actually, half of the grid still isn't out of the pit lane. So I don't know exactly what's going on there. Very unusual behavior, to be honest. But there we go. Perez now at the top of the timing sheets, a 1 minute 22.0. I don't even think that's. And then Verstappen goes pretty much identical to Sergio Perez's lap time, only half a tenth faster. Yeah, those lap times don't look significantly faster than FP3. In fact, they were faster. They set faster lap times in FP3. Verstappen set a 1 minute 21.2 in free practice 3, 8 tenths faster than his current Q3 lap. Yeah, pretty. I don't know why that's happened. I mean, track temperature has changed between FP3 and quali, but I mean, 8 tenths isn't dictated by track temperature. So, yeah, who knows? All right. So we have got, yeah, still half the field. Norris, Russell, Hamilton, Ricardo, all now coming out to set their laps. Leclerc's on a flying lap, purple first sector, and now he'll cross the second sector line. We have. Oh no, it's just green flags. No worries. Carlos Sainz crossed the line, 1 minute 21.3. Leclerc 1 minute 21.2. Nice job there. Both Ferrari drivers going 8 tenths or 7 tenths quicker than the Red Bulls. That is, well, very great for the Tifosi. And well, they are definitely very happy right now. You can tell from all of the cheers, but yeah, not exactly sure why the gap between the Red Bulls and the Ferraris is so big, especially because the quali simulations said that the Ferraris and the Red Bulls will be pretty much identical. Yeah, not sure how that has just happened. Yeah, very interesting. Right. All right. Instead of grid penalties, do you think they should increase the weight of the cars? Well, thing is, increasing the weight of the cars adds so much more complexion to like a race. You gotta make sure your tires won't explode because you got too much weight going through them, and like, well, it messes up all of the balance of the car. You got to think about where you're going to actually put the weight and put the extra mass. So yeah, grid penalties usually end up just being better off. But yeah, all right, let's have a look at these top speeds then. So the Ferraris, wow, okay, so the Ferraris were were 4 kilometers an hour slower in the practice sessions. Now, by the looks of it, they've tuned out some of their downforce in the car and have just gone, well, for even more downforce. No, tuned out some of the downforce and gone for even less drag. And now they're 4 kilometers an hour quicker than the Red Bulls down the straights. And we've got the fastest car in a straight line, Nicholas Latifi. I mean, he's the GOAT. I mean, if you go the fastest in a straight line, then are you the winner of the F1 race and should get pole position? I think so, right? But Nick De Vries as well, doing a great job. He's in 10th position and only marginally behind Nicholas Latifi. I mean, that goes to show maybe how inexperienced, well, not inexperienced, how incompetent Nicholas Latifi is. Nick De Vries, who has never driven an F1 car in qualifying before, goes like a fraction of a tenth ahead of him, but basically matching his lap times. So yeah, I mean, pretty crazy to see that. Nick De Vries, no doubt, is an immensely talented driver, but yeah, I mean, that kind of performance from Nicholas Latifi is kind of makes you question why he's still in Formula One. And yeah. All right. Cannot see the number 20 time. Yep. There we go. All right. So we got Verstappen out on track. Look at this. They're going for a bit of a slipstream there. Sergio Perez giving Max Verstappen a very big tow all the other way around, but it looks like, oh yeah, Verstappen's giving Perez a tow because Perez is about to finish a lap. Is that what's going on? But nevertheless, what they're doing is trying to orchestrate some sort of tow. You can see it between Bottas and Zhou. Bottas has got a 15-place grid penalty, and he's giving Zhou a bit of a tow down the straight because, I mean, if he's going to start at the back, he might as well help his teammates start slightly further up. And yeah. Perez improves his lap time on an old set of tyres and goes 2 tenths ahead. 2 tenths behind the Ferrari, sorry. And then we've still got Verstappen, who's now on a flying lap with a purple middle sector. He's got completely clean air ahead of him going through the Ascari Chicane now. Ascari Chicane, pretty much just a standard triple chicane, left, right, left. You only are braking for the first one. After that, you're just on throttle and just trying to manage the amount of downforce and grip you've got to get through the last corner of the Ascari. Then here he comes through the Parabolica and now down onto the straight purple third sector. And there he goes 4 tenths faster than the Ferraris. And that's exactly what he did in qualifying. And in fact, that was the exact same gap between Verstappen and Leclerc. 0.358 seconds was the same gap between Leclerc and Verstappen in FP3 after Verstappen set his fast lap. So, yeah, very crazy indeed. And yeah. All right, 5 minutes left of qualifying, and we've got Verstappen top of the timing sheets with the two Ferraris in second and third, Sergio Perez in fourth position, George Russell in fifth, Tsunoda sixth, and we haven't actually talked about the Alpines, but Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, they have a very, very efficient car. Going down the straights, they can pack on a bit more downforce than usual compared to everyone else and still have a similar level of drag. And that's really going to help them around this circuit, especially in race trim, because the more downforce you have, the less sliding your tires go through, and the less sliding means less overheating and just less tire wear in general. So that's the idea. Hopefully, we will see. We'll see the Alpines maybe hold their position, and they'll probably be the drivers that will be blocking most of the progress. We'll have Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen, all progressing from further below the field, and we could see maybe the Alpines blocking, well, not blocking, but holding up the progress of the front-running drivers because of the fact they have so much top speed, and it might just be worth it for them to keep them behind on the track. So, yeah. Where's Vettel? Vettel is in 20th position. And yeah, the Aston Martins are absolutely horrible this weekend. And Vettel 3 seconds off the pace. Who are you, F1 Gamer? My name is F1 Gamer. I mean, that's like, if you check my passport, it says F1 Gamer. So, yeah, that's my name. Also, guys, we're getting very close to the subscriber goal. So if you have not subscribed, please be sure to do so. It definitely does help out the channel. And yeah. All right, 3 minutes left of Q1 now. And we have got Mick Schumacher and Kevin Magnussen out on track with a fresh set of soft tires. Just warming. Well, actually, they're on a flying lap right now, and there goes Mick Schumacher through the Ascari. Very nice indeed. Goes all over the curb on the exit, but you can do that. The curb is not aggressive whatsoever. And yeah, just nice job there through Parabolica, and we'll see what he can do in terms of lap time. Yes, Multi Ninja, I am quite tired. Didn't get the longest amount of sleep last night, so yeah, just trying to stay awake. Oh, who am I for? Oh, I thought you said, who are you? Right, who am I for? Yeah, I'm a Vettel fan. Yeah, so it's absolutely heartbreaking to see him down in 20th position. He's down on an outlap at the front of the train. So no slipstream for Seb Vettel, but also no chance of him getting caught up by some yellow flag. And yeah. All right, so 1 minute 44 remains. We've got quite the queue forming now in the final sector. And a bit of a bunching up there going through the Lesmos. We've got Hamilton, Russell, Norris. Hamilton, Russell, Ricciardo getting rather close together, fighting for track space. But here we go. Vettel now coming down the straight into turn number 1 and 2, braking from like 200 miles an hour to 45 miles an hour. The braking zone is immense. I mean, the G loading that the drivers go through is about 5G just hitting the brakes. And then now through Curva Grande into the Della Rosa chicane. Drivers once again just braking at the 100-meter mark and trying not to go over the curbs, because the curbs are extremely dangerous around the circuit, and especially locking up as well. It is pretty difficult to deal with that. Nicholas Latifi looks like, everyone is doing all right. No issues so far. There is a pretty big gap between Hamilton and Russell, but then the gap between Russell and Mick Schumacher, not so big. But of course, Mick's now on a in-lap. We've got Daniel Ricciardo and everyone else actually got a free bit of track space. Nicholas Latifi going slowly. Looks like he made a bit of a mistake. So that'll be Nicholas Latifi now in 13th place. That's his final lap time for the session. But here now comes Vettel through the Parabolica, turn number 11 on this 3.6 mile long circuit. Out the final corner, DRS has been activated, and here comes Sebastian Vettel into 15th place. That is very much on risk of the danger zone. We've got Guan Yu Zhou up into 6th position, Valtteri Bottas in 13th, Vettel down into 16th, so he has been eliminated. Pierre Gasly is now into 7th position. We've got Stroll into 17th, Nick de Vries into 12th. Great lap there. I mean, look at this. Nick de Vries has out-qualified Nicholas Latifi. Absolutely, shocking scenes there. We got Fernando Alonso crosses the line, stays in 9th position. Same for Esteban Ocon, stays in 12th. Hamilton into 9th position. Don't know why the gap between Hamilton and Russell is so big this weekend. Next up, Daniel Ricciardo in 12th position, from 18th up to 12th, just behind his teammate Lando Norris. Of course, Norris still yet to complete his lap. We'll wait and see what he can do, but it looks like the elimination zone is Nicholas Latifi, Sebastian Vettel, Kevin Magnussen, Lance Stroll, and Mick Schumacher. So that is qualifying. Well, that is qualifying 1 completed. And we got the 2 Aston Martins, the 2 Haas, and Nicholas Latifi being eliminated from qualifying. Right. What happened to Danny Rick? Well, Danny Rick got through into Q2, so it's looking good. In terms of lap time, I think Norris was going on to improve, but they just told him to abort the lap because there was no need, because he was going to get through into Q2 anyway. So yeah, there we go. What happened to Schumacher's lap time? Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Schumacher's lap time is only half a tenth, is only 1/10 behind Kevin Magnussen's lap time, so it's nothing. In terms of his best lap time, at least, I think he made a bit of a mistake on his last lap because he was 4/10 slower. But in terms of both of the drivers' fastest laps, there's only a tenth of a second between them. So yeah, Mick Schumacher, maybe not maybe not exactly like what his dad was, but definitely a solid midfield driver for sure. We got some team radio from Sergio Perez. He's in 4th position right now. Let's have a listen.
The release was stepping out. The release stepped out into turn 2.
Yeah, really stepping out into turn 2. So that's actually a pretty big issue, because he said into turn 2, and if you've got going through turn number 1 is obviously the chicane, and then when you go, because you turn right for turn 1, and then when you switch, you like load all of the car onto the completely different side because you're going left for turn number 2. When that weight transfer occurs, if you get any sort of sliding, because there's already weight transfer going on, the car will just spin around like very, very easily. We saw that with Carlos Sainz. He came out on a fresh set of mediums, I think, and in FP3, just got on the throttle on the exit of the second chicane, and got a massive amount of oversteer. Like he had to go full lock the other way. Well, not full lock, but like his hands were completely rotated 180 degrees. So, yeah, getting that, making sure your car doesn't slide when coming out on the exit of a chicane is very critical. Well, hopefully, Red Bull can do something about that because the gap between Verstappen and Perez is now 0.6 of a second. Also, Guan Yu Zhou did a great job. I will just have a look at the top speeds, see what his top speeds were like. I just clicked past it. Let's see. All right, yeah. So Guan Yu Zhou, 334 kilometers an hour. So the fastest team down the straight is the Williams. Nicholas Latifi, in fact, has the lowest downforce setup of all of them. 347 kilometers an hour. I mean, I can convert that into miles. That is 215 miles per hour going down the straights there for the Williams, and every other driver is still above 210. And yeah. So the top speeds are looking pretty close together, to be honest. I mean, the biggest gap that we've got is 338 kilometers an hour from George Russell. The Mercedes don't have the best top speed, and 347. So only a matter of 8 kilometers an hour, which should be 9 kilometers an hour, which should be dealable. The driver should be able to deal with that in terms of overtaking. So yeah. All right. In fact, I'll actually take you through a lap of Monza. I didn't do that because the stream started 15 minutes later than usual. But we have... I also need to change that from Q1 to Q2. So there we go. So Monza it's called the Temple of Speed. You're flat out for 83% of the lap. And puts a lot of strain through those engines, and the teams will do absolutely everything they can to try and reduce the wear and tear on their car. So they go through turn number 1 and 2, braking. The brakes actually take a massive beating around here because usually brakes, the wear on brakes is dictated by what temperature they're operating at. And if they're operating at too cold of temperatures, there'll be a lot of brake dust that gets like ejected from the brakes when you eventually do slam on the brakes. But then if you're braking at too hot of a temperature, then the brake pads themselves, or the brake discs themselves, and pads, in fact, both of them start wearing out a lot faster than usual. So the brakes take a very big beating, especially at turn number 1, turn number 4, and turn number 8 as well. I mean, all of the major braking zones, because all of the major braking zones have got a very long straights before them. It's very tough indeed on the brake pads at Monza. So turn number 1 is just a chicane. I mean, everyone probably knows what the Monza circuit is by now, but you brake around the 100-meter mark, and all the way from 8th gear down into 3rd gear, and then right, then left, and you got to straighten up your steering wheel as much as possible so you can get the power down and get a lot of traction for the exit that you're going to inevitably need onto the next long straight. And then you have the next chicane, which is which is the Della Rosa chicane, in fact. And yeah, you got the Della Rosa chicane, which is another just the left-right chicane. And then you got the two Lesmos, the two medium-speed corners on the circuit, turn 6 and 7, and the understeer around turn 6 is quite prominent. We've seen loads of drivers actually go off. Nick De Vries, Sergio Perez, Charles Leclerc, all of the drivers going off the track at that corner because the understeer is just very prevalent. And then through turn number 7, there's a bit of a banking, so the understeer isn't that bad through there. And then you've got the Ascari chicane, of course, named after Ascari himself. It's just a left, a right, and a left. But of course, the thing is, you got to carry as much speed as possible through there, because if you do too much weight transfer on the front and back, you lose the grip that you get going through the corner itself, which is not ideal when you're in the middle of 3 corners. Losing grip for cornering is not great. And then of course you've got the parabolica, a full 180-degree corner. It opens up on the exit. It's not like a perfect hairpin, so the drivers get a chance to get the power down a lot earlier than they would if it was just a usual hairpin. And yeah, it's my dream job to be an F1 driver. Well, maybe not a driver, but an F1 engineer would be very nice indeed. Also, guys, there is the Formula Neon giveaway. It is an LED F1 track. It's wall art that you can hang on your wall. It's a pretty cool decoration, in my opinion, and I presume most of your guys' opinion as well. So yeah, if you are interested, then the giveaway link is in the pinned comment or the description. So go ahead and check that out. Yeah. And also, we are now, 2 minutes into Q2, and not a single driver out on track yet. Everyone is just waiting for someone else to give them a tow. So yeah, not ideal. Nobody's just going out. Everyone's just sat in the pit lane. That's what F1's teams do at Monza. I mean, that's just what it is. Well, if it says the promotion isn't available in your region, just let me know what country you are in, and then I'll sort it out for tomorrow's stream. So yeah. And the other thing was, also there is links to Instagram, Twitter, and Discord in the description. Taza Nayet has just started following me on Instagram. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and follow that, that would be very much appreciated. But here we go, Perez out on track, and now everyone is just coming out the pit lane. So we've got Perez, then Verstappen, then Bottas, Zhou, Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon, Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, and I presume Fernando Alonso as well, somewhere in that queue of cars. All of the drivers just deciding to depart the pit lane at the exact same time. But Sergio Perez has got the absolute best of it. He's just decided to bolt and leave all the drivers behind to deal with dirty air and slipstream. We've got Sainz, both Ferraris out onto the track as well. And yeah. Am I on Facebook? Unfortunately, I am not on Facebook. Yeah, I don't really use it, so yeah, there's no point to me making a social media which I don't use and you guys can't contact me on. So yeah, if you do want to message or anything, then Instagram, Discord, and Twitter, my DMs are open. All right, we got the McLaren's out on track, Fernando Alonso as well. 10 minutes remain of the Q2 session. Everyone's out on soft tyres. We got Verstappen on a used set. Same for both Ferraris, and Guan Yu Zhou as well going out on a used set of tyres, and Valtteri Bottas as well. So yeah, here we go then. Let's see what lap times they can do. So we got Perez with pretty much a full sector of track to himself. We got Verstappen queuing everyone up, and everyone's just, well, going rather slowly. I don't know why there's such a big queue there. But yeah, that is very strange. I don't see why you would be so close to the driver in front of you. That's just going to ruin your lap. I think it might have something to do with the minimum. Oh, this is actually an extremely smart decision by what? Maybe Red Bull told Verstappen to do it, or maybe they didn't. But basically around Monza, if you guys remember back to 2019, they had this absolute mess of a qualifying session where nobody set a lap time because everyone was waiting for someone else to come out to give them a slipstream. So what they did was they implemented a minimum qualifying time, like a minimum lap time that you have for qualifying. So you cannot set a lap time slower than that in qualifying, otherwise you'll get a penalty or something. And because everyone came out of the track at the same time, what they did, Sergio Perez just bolted and left and was set a 1 minute 21.3. Great job there from Sergio Perez. But then Verstappen was behind Perez, and what they did was I think they told Verstappen, because I don't think Verstappen would have thought of this while driving the car, but if he goes at the slowest possible lap time and then blocks all of the other drivers behind him, then none of the drivers are going to have a fast lap, because everyone's going to get screwed over by the dirty air, and you legally can't slow down anymore. Otherwise, you're going to get a penalty. So whatever Red Bull are doing, they are playing some crazy 4D chess, because yeah, that strategy is absolutely insane. But there we go. Sainz now goes 4/10 faster than the Red Bulls. So we saw last in Q1 the Red Bulls went 4/10 faster. Now it's the Ferraris that are 4/10 faster. I guess we'll wait and see what happens in Q3. But we got Ferrari in the first position. We got 2 Red Bulls, 2 Mercedes, and then we got an Alpine, AlphaTauri, an Alpine, and McLaren, and Valtteri Bottas in the top 10 as well. So nice job there. The drivers in the elimination zone: Nick De Vries, Guan Yu Zhou, Daniel Ricciardo, and Charles Leclerc. That's because Leclerc hasn't set a lap yet. So nothing to be shocked about. So he's actually on an outlap now, and here he goes to start his lap. Actually, one thing to point out, that Max Verstappen's tires are extremely well. They were 3 laps older than Carlos Sainz's tires, and they were 3 laps of they were like 2 flying laps older. Well, no, 1 full flying lap older. Sorry, than Carlos Sainz's tires. So it is to be expected that he has a slower lap time. But yeah, that was just something to point out. So we'll wait and see. I mean, 4/10 of a second with 1 extra flying lap. I mean, flying laps definitely do take a lot of tire life out of your tires. But yeah, 4/10 seems rather excessive, to be fair. Did Max use? Yeah, Max is using old tires to conserve. There's no need to use fresh sets of tires right now in Q2. You can do that in Q3. So yeah, there we go. That would be great though if Nick De Vries got into the top 10 on his first qualifying session in Formula One. When he didn't even have the full 3 hours of practice. He only had 1 hour in an Aston Martin and then half an hour in a Williams. I mean, that is absolutely insane. If he gets through into Q3, I think Alex Albon would have got through into Q3. He before he got appendicitis, he gave an interview and he was like hoping to score some points here with everyone else getting grid penalties. And yeah, unfortunately, Albon is in a hospital getting surgery for his appendicitis. We'll be getting a pectomy. I don't know how to say it. But yeah, so that is why he's not racing. And we've got Charles Leclerc in now second place, 3/10 behind Sainz. So Sainz just had an absolutely mega lap. Where did he find all the time? We'll have to wait, and I think he found most of the time in the first sector. Half the time in the first sector, half the time in the second sector, and then identical in the third sector. But yeah, Carlos Sainz finding quite a bit of pace here, and going faster than Charles Leclerc. That might upset the home crowd here, because I think they are. I think they're supporting Charles Leclerc a bit more than they do support Carlos Sainz. Of course, Leclerc did win here back in 2019. Did that epic race, of course, when Ferrari had all of the top speed in the world due to their little engine. Well, I don't know what to call it really, but they maybe slightly cheating engine. And yeah, they had all the top speed in the world, and they ended up winning the race in Monza. And yeah, so I think the Tifosi very much do like Charles Leclerc a bit more than they like Carlos Sainz. But we will wait and see what happens in Q3. And yeah. I don't think Leclerc was giving the home crowd a show running alone. I think he just got caught up in traffic, couldn't get his tires warmed up properly, so went out for an extra warm-up lap. Yeah. All right. 4 minutes remain of Q2, and the drivers currently in the elimination zone are Valtteri Bottas, Nick De Vries, Guan Yu Zhou, Daniel Ricciardo, and Yuki Tsunoda. So, yeah, I mean, actually, looking at this, the gap between Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly is actually quite big, to be honest. Oh, wait, this is, yeah, it's 7/10 of a second or something. Yeah, 7/10 of a second between Tsunoda and Gasly. So pretty, well, very big gap indeed. Not the Ferrari, the Red Bull / Honda power units are doing very good this weekend. The top speeds pretty much matching the Ferraris. We'll just have a look at the top speeds again. Of course, we're at the Temple of Speed. This is pretty much this circuit and maybe Monza and Baku. Oh no, this circuit maybe Mexico and Baku, where top speed matters. But apart from that, not so much. And also, yes, we'd just like to confirm that we've got. I will just make a poll. In fact, guys, you don't have to do A and B. Does Nick get into Q3? There you go. Just go ahead and vote in there. But the top speeds, by the looks of it, Carlos Sainz got a bit of a toe going down the straight. And that is why he was, that's why he was faster than Charles Leclerc on that previous lap. Yep, he gained 0.3 of a second in the first sector, and he was 0.3 of a second faster than Leclerc. So, yeah, so that's Carlos Sainz still has got pace. In fact, he was faster in the middle sector as well. Slightly slower. Oh no, he was slower in the. Yeah, he was slower in the middle and third sector, but he just gained a load of time in the first sector. And but I mean that's the thing though. If you manage your toe correctly, then you will end up gaining a lot of time. The teams did some tests. It's around about a quarter of a second that you gain through getting a toe. So yeah. Also, just another stat that you might be interested in. We've got Max Verstappen. Monza is the only Grand Prix that Max Verstappen hasn't finished on the podium at on the calendar. So, yeah, Monza, I think it was 2020. We had 3 races in Monza. All 3 of them, Max Verstappen had terrible luck. We had Mugello, Imola, and Monza. And all 3 of them, Max Verstappen having horrible races. So yeah, maybe it is just Italy and Max Verstappen not being able to do well. But we've got 1 minute 15 seconds remaining of Q2. Every driver except Tsunoda and the top 4 are out on track. So it looks like Tsunoda will be starting from 15th position, but he won't actually because he's got a grid penalty. Tsunoda has got a back of the grid penalty, so there's no point for him to go out for another lap because he's going to start from the back of the grid even if he qualifies in first position. So AlphaTauri just conserving the engine there, not trying to wear it out too much. Of course, they've got a penalty because they've got a new engine, so don't want to wear out the new engine too much. We've got everyone who's out on track right now on a fresh set of tyres and only 30 seconds left of qualifying. I don't think everyone's going to make it out. We got Alonso, Norris. Actually, they will. Yeah, it'll be pretty close, and the drivers at the back won't have that much of a gap to the drivers ahead of them, but they should be all right. Otherwise, Ocon might get screwed over by this. Let's see, 15 seconds left now. Ocon crosses the line, and Alonso also crosses the line. Yep, they cross the line in time. So good job there. Everyone gets through. And let's have a look at this. So George Russell improves, Pierre Gasly improves, but Bottas, Nick De Vries, Zhou, all of them not improving in the first sector. And these guys need to improve because they're in the elimination zone. We got Ricciardo just going half a tenth slower than his teammate Lando Norris. So good job there from the Aussie. And we'll see now what the drivers do in the middle sector. We got Bottas with the green middle sector. Same for Zhou. The Alfa Romeo looking good in that part of the track. We got Nick De Vries through the middle sector, does not improve. I mean, that's fair enough that he doesn't improve. Actually, Nick De Vries has backed off. He is, I think he made a mistake somewhere, so he is just backing off now. But Valtteri Bottas now across the line, 1 minute 22, still in the elimination zone, unfortunately. We'll see now what Guan Yu Zhou can do. He crosses the line, unfortunately, once again in the elimination zone. The first sector really didn't help him. That wasn't a personal best. We got George Russell now in 6th position. He crosses the line but doesn't improve. We got Norris in 7th, Ricciardo in 8th. Ricciardo actually just slightly behind his teammate. So yeah, I mean, it's great for Daniel Ricciardo. He won last year's race here, and he's finally being able to match Lando Norris. That is great to see. And then we got the 2 Alpines crossing the line. Alonso's in 9th. Esteban Ocon is in 11th. So that is that. Ocon is out of qualifying. Same for Valtteri Bottas, Nick de Vries, Guan Yu Zhou, and Yuki Tsunoda. I mean, that's not too big of an issue, to be honest. We've got, if we look at the grid penalties, we've got Ocon's got a 5-place grid penalty, so currently he's in 11th. He's going to start 16th. We've got Bottas, who has got a 15-place grid penalty, so he's going to start from the back of the grid. And then that is that. So yeah, the drivers will be promoted up a couple of positions, but yeah. Did Verstappen come out again? No, none of the top 4 drivers came out. Oh, top 5 drivers, I think, came out on track, yeah. But that is that. That is the end of Q2. We're going to go on to Q3 now. There'll be a 12-minute session, probably starting in 6 minutes, I think. Yeah, 6 minutes it'll be. All right. Yeah. Also, guys, remember to stay hydrated. You've been watching the stream for quite a bit now, but staying hydrated is very important. So I'm gonna have a drink, and you should too. Why is Hamilton slow? I don't think it's more of Hamilton being slow. I think it's more of the Mercedes. It's pretty clear cut when you see 2 drivers setting identical lap times. You can pretty safely assume that it is the team, it's the car that's limiting them. Because these Formula One drivers, top 20 in the world, and they extract nearly as much as humanly possible from these cars, and maybe sometimes even more. And yeah, so when Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have got lap times that are between how many milliseconds apart? 39 milliseconds apart. It's pretty safe to say that the car is the limiting factor, not the driver. And the same can be said for the McLarens as well. They've only got a gap of 14 milliseconds between them. So yeah, Mercedes and McLaren very much at the limit of their cars. The drivers really can't do that much more to extract any more performance. All right, so Q3 will be starting in a couple of minutes now. Let me know what your predictions are. Yeah, 65% of you predicted Nick de Vries wouldn't get through into Q3. And yes, he did not. But let me know what your predictions are for pole position. Well, actually, not pole position. Who do you think is going to set the fastest lap of qualifying? I'm pretty sure pole position will go to Charles Leclerc unless he crashes out on the first lap of Q3. But yeah, so who do you think is going to get pole? Because we've seen it very much alternate between the 2 teams. We had Red Bull fastest in Q1, then we have the Ferrari fastest in Q2. So if the pattern goes on, then it will be, well, I don't think you can determine a pattern, but it should be Red Bull if it was just them 2 swapping every session. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Leclerc will set the fastest lap. Max in P1, at least in qualifying. Well, we will wait and see. I mean, don't throw Carlos Sainz out of this. actually, you probably should throw Carlos Sainz out of this because he has got a grid penalty starting from the back of the grid. So I suspect what they'll do is just abort whatever sort of strategy that they had for Carlos Sainz and just be like, right, well, your job is to give Charles Leclerc a massive toe. Actually, just give him the biggest toe the world has ever seen. In fact, do what they do at NASCAR and let Leclerc bump draft you. I mean, that would be great in terms of top speed. So they might just do that. And being Ferrari, they might put on a fresh set of tires to give Leclerc a toe. They did that, in fact, at Spa. I think Leclerc was to give Sainz a toe because Leclerc was taking a grid penalty. And Ferrari, for some reason, put him out on soft tires. So when he was providing a tow, very, very, very strange indeed strategy from Ferrari. But there we go. That is that. Also, how many grid positions is Hamilton dropping? Hamilton is going all the way to the back of the grid. In fact, I'll just run through the grid penalties now. So we got Max Verstappen with a 5-place grid penalty, Esteban Ocon with a 5-place grid penalty, Sergio Perez with a 10-place grid penalty. Then we got Bottas, Schumacher, and Magnussen all with 15-place grid penalties. And then Tsunoda, Hamilton, and Sainz to the back of the grid. And yeah, so that's the grid penalty situation. The standings will all be worked out by the FIA. It's probably going to get a bit complicated because everyone's going to like try and of course you'll have Sainz, Hamilton, and Tsunoda all starting from the back of the grid, but of course you can't line 3 cars up in the 20th place position. And yeah, so the FIA will have to do something to sort all of those positions out. And yeah. When does Q3 begin? Q3 begins in literally 1 minute. So yeah, it starts at 3:48, and then the session will end at 4 o'clock. So yeah, there we go. Q3 has begun. Drivers now just coming out onto the track for the final top 10 position shootout. All right. Let's see what else is going out on track. Not much, to be honest. All the drivers, in fact, I would expect that they would come out after what happened in Q2, them getting really bunched up and narrowly getting through into Q3. I mean, narrowly getting the checkered flag. But yep, all the teams just sat in the pit lane, waiting for the other driver to go out onto track. And yeah. Yes, the back of the grid positions do get are according to the qualifying position. So Yuki Tsunoda will start in 20th position, and then whoever qualifies highest out of Sainz or Hamilton, they will start in 18th, and then whoever qualifies slower will start in 19th. But yeah, that's how it works. But yeah, the FIA will have to also look at the 10-place grid penalties and all of that. So I will, of course, let you know the starting position of the grid for tomorrow's race, in tomorrow's stream. In fact, I am streaming for the race tomorrow in Monza. Of course, the race is in Monza, but yes, I am streaming. So yeah, make sure you tune into that, and if you could hit the subscribe button, that would very much be appreciated. We are 248 subscribers away from the subscriber goal. All right, now 2 minutes into qualifying, and no drivers have departed into the pit, departed out of the pit lane, and yeah. Also, just another thing, there is a Formula Neon giveaway running, and basically what Formula Neon is, they make F1 wall art of racetracks. They have like 200,000 different colors that you can choose from, and yeah, you just hang it up on your wall, and it looks very cool. So yeah, it's a giveaway, and you get free shipping to whichever country you're in. If the giveaway doesn't work, then let me know in chat which country you're in, and then I'll get that sorted out for tomorrow's stream. But here we go now. So Lando Norris, Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen, all coming out onto the grid, all coming out onto the track, sorry, right now, like all within the space of 10 seconds. That is qualifying in Monza for you. It doesn't work in Denmark, okay? It doesn't work in Finland or Denmark. I'll get that sorted out for you. So in tomorrow's stream, you can go ahead and sign up. All right, Norris right at the front of the pack. Fernando Alonso could do the thing that Max Verstappen did and just go for the slowest possible lap time and then give everyone else dirty air. But I don't think he'll do that. It doesn't look like he's doing that as well. So, and here we've got the two Mercedes just coming out behind everyone else, giving themselves a bit of clean space, so they can set a nice qualifying lap without any traffic getting in their way. All right, 8 minutes remain of Q3 now, and yeah. Also, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, if you could hit the like button, that would be very much appreciated. Hopefully, you can hit 500 likes, and yeah, if we could if everyone likes and subscribes, both of them, then we'll hit 500 likes and the subscriber goal probably at the same time. So, yeah, thank you everyone for the support. So here we go now. Lando Norris first out of the parabolic, and then we got Alonso behind him, Ricciardo, Gasly, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Verstappen, leaving a pretty big gap there, and then Hamilton and Russell. All right. So here we go. Lando Norris through the first sector, through Curva Grande, 27.3. Immediately, Fernando Alonso goes faster than him. Next up is Daniel Ricciardo. He goes slightly slower than his teammate. We got Pierre Gasly in 10th position, in provisional 10th position, going slower than Lando Norris. But anyway, back to the front of the field, we got Sainz with the fastest first sector. We saw this before. He got a very nice toe off Leclerc going down the straight. Of course, he was slightly closer than most drivers, and they definitely benefited in his first sector. We saw that. But now in the second and third sector, the dirty air might be hurting him. We'll have to wait and see. We got Lando Norris, purple middle sector that's quickly taken away by Perez, and then taken away by Leclerc, and then taken away by Carlos Sainz. So Carlos Sainz very much on fire, and could ruin Charles Leclerc's day or the Red Bull's day. But Verstappen takes the fastest middle sector away. Lando Norris crossed the line 1 minute 22.2. Daniel Ricciardo, his teammate behind him, 1 minute 22.6, half a second gap between the two teammates. We got Sergio Perez with a 1 minute 21.3. Leclerc 1 minute 20.7. Sainz goes 2/10 faster than his teammate. And then next, Max Verstappen crossed the line. He goes behind the Ferraris. So the Ferraris have the edge in qualifying. It's a Ferrari front row lockout for now. And we've got Russell in 5th, Lewis Hamilton in 7th. Yeah, wow. Pretty close between all of these teams now. And, well, I'd say pretty close. It's pretty close between Norris, Hamilton, and Ricciardo. I don't know what happened with Hamilton's lap. He made a bit of a mistake in he actually made a mistake in all three sectors by looking at the lap times. So yeah, unfortunate there for Lewis Hamilton. He's second behind George Russell. It's to be expected. We'll wait and see. Every Norris fan, could you say Norris P1? Yeah, well, I'll keep that in mind. Of course, now qualifying's done, so Norris is going to be P6 or lower by the looks of it, unless he can set a faster lap time than George Russell, but he'll have to improve by about half a second there, which seems rather unlikely for the McLaren driver. And yeah. All the drivers now just coming into the pit lane, getting that tiny amount of fuel just back into the car so they can do a outlap, in-lap, outlap, flying lap, and in-lap. And yeah, we could see hopefully the team's pushing a lot more. Well, the driver's pushing a lot more. We can see that they're pushing on the onboards and stuff, and from the camera shots going all over the curbs, especially the curbs at Monza here. The curbs on the exit of corners, they are not aggressive whatsoever. You can basically just drive over them like they're nothing. and the drivers using them to their advantage. Of course, any sort of advantage you can gain through making the track wider, Formula One drivers are experts at abusing it, and yeah. Yeah, Ferrari definitely do want this very badly. And for you Ferrari fans out here, I know you've learned not to get your hopes up. Today they might get pole position, but looking at the way that Ferrari set up their car in Friday practice when they did the quali simulations and they did the race simulations, they were pretty close to Red Bull in the quali simulations, maybe a bit faster. Well, they were pretty much identical. So and that was Friday practice, so you can't exactly say. But in their race simulations, they were a lot further behind. So I have a feeling that Ferrari set up their car for quali setup rather than for a race setup. It is tough to say. Of course, I don't know what the Ferrari mechanics are doing right now, but yeah, interesting things going on at Ferrari. Maybe they think if we go for a qualifying setup, we'll have grid position and a bit more top speed as well, so we could hold off the rest of the pack. But yeah. Yeah, Mike McLaughlin. Yeah, I mean that seems like a pretty smart strategy. Actually, not. And also, when you say 3 stop, I mean, why don't you go for 3 tires as well? 3 tires is like the ideal amount of tires, because you got to think about it. If you've got 4 tires, you have so much more friction than if you have 3 tires. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer. If you could go out on 3 tires, you would. Yeah. All right. So looking at this now, Carlos Sainz not giving Charles Leclerc a tow. That is not to be expected. 2 minutes left of the session. The driver's actually coming out early for once, so they can actually set a lap time without risking running short of the flag. And yeah, we got Sergio Perez at the front, so no chance of him getting held up by any sort of yellow flags or anything. Then we got Fernando Alonso going quite closely behind him. In fact, what I think they're trying to do is Ferrari were very successful with their tow, especially Carlos Sainz going 2 tenths faster than his teammate. They maintained like a sufficient gap, so throughout the lap they'll get a bit of a slipstream. But then when they get to the parts where you need like no dirty air, the dirty air doesn't affect you too much. So I think Alonso, what he's trying to do is just maintain that gap with Sergio Perez so he can gain some sort of benefit, because of course Esteban Ocon isn't in Q3 as he was in 11th place at the end of Q2. Here we go for the final top 10 shootout. We've got Carlos Sainz at the front, then we've got Lando Norris behind him, we've got Leclerc behind Norris, then Ricciardo, Verstappen, and then the 2 Mercedes. But we got Sergio Perez leading the pack, and he doesn't improve in the first sector. Neither does Fernando Alonso. Gasly does improve though. 50 seconds remaining of Q3. All the drivers will make it across the line. And this is it. Final bit of Q3 for Ferrari, for Monza. What? Well, you can see this Norris getting a very nice toe off Carlos Sainz. I must say he's getting dangerously close to actually getting a massive amounts of dirty air from him. But his first sector time is 2 tenths quicker than his teammates. So that's really helping out there. Nobody with a purple sector just as yet. So Carlos Sainz still looks to have the pace. Verstappen, he's pushing all of the limits, especially on the exit of that second chicane, pretty much just grazing the gravel. The precision that he's got is absolutely tremendous. I mean, I don't know how he can do that. Really messing up my words here. Charles Leclerc with a fastest middle sector. That's been taken away by Max Verstappen as soon as I said it. But we've got Sergio Perez in 4th position. He improves his lap time, but doesn't gain any positions from there. Carlos Sainz, he does improve his lap time. Fastest 3rd sector. And he goes 3 tenths faster than his teammate. But then Leclerc improves by half a second. Wow. And then he goes 2 tenths ahead of Carlos Sainz. So Charles Leclerc on pole position. For now, we got Max Verstappen crossing the line. He's into 2nd place. And Carlos Sainz in 3rd. We got Sergio Perez in fourth. Hamilton crosses the line, goes narrowly ahead of George Russell, and then Russell now, he crosses the line. What can he do? He comes into the pits. He made a bit of a mistake in the third sector. So that is that. We've got Charles Leclerc in first position, Max Verstappen in second, Sainz in third, Perez in fourth, Hamilton. We got the two Mercedes in fifth and sixth, the two McLarens in seventh and eighth, then Gasly and Alonso. So that is the top 10. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We got nearly 400 likes. We're getting very close to the subscriber goal. So yeah, if you haven't liked or subscribed, very much do appreciate it. And yeah, so Charles Leclerc's on pole position. We got Max Verstappen with a 5th-place grid penalty, Carlos Sainz to the back of the grid, Sergio Perez with a 10th-place grid penalty, Russell, Hamilton all the way to the back as well. So George Russell will be starting in P2, Lando Norris will starting P3, and Daniel Ricciardo starting P4. So yeah, very much, very, very great for the drivers in 6th, 7th, and 8th. Yeah. Alonso's lap might have got deleted. I'm not 100% sure there. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm going to end the stream slightly early, but it's going to take you to tomorrow's stream. And if you could make sure to hit the reminder button and also press the like button as well, because it really helps out the YouTube algorithm if it gets a bunch of likes before the stream starts. So yeah, if you could, I'm going to end the stream now, and it'll take you to tomorrow's stream. So go ahead and do that. That would be very much appreciated. But yeah, it's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. And have a morning, have a nice morning, day, afternoon, or evening, or night, depending on where you are in the world. And I will see you tomorrow for the Italian Grand Prix. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Cheers, fellas.